Over the last, I would say, about 2 years, I've been trying to buy and sell trading cards, and though I never really made a living out of it, or a killing off of it for that matter, I definitely dove into it with a pretty naive mindset. I'm by no means a seasoned TCG purveyor by any metric, but what I have learned in the short time I dipped my hand into the world of card crazes has been a bit eye-opening to me. For me, a lot of it concerns ethical practices as well as strategic acquisition of supply, because it's rather disheartening to read and see stories of card stores now being broken into, having their inventory ransacked by these jobless assholes who are single-handedly tarnishing the image of a very beloved hobby in American subculture. But thankfully, those instances seem far and few in between compared to the more common issues, such as scalpers, which a lot of us know have affected mainly Pokemon, the One Piece TCG, and sports card sales. But I'll back up momentarily to regale you the tale of my card hunting as a kid and explain why it's something I decided to give a shot from a more financial perspective as of late. Like a lot of 30-something-year-olds such as myself, trading cards of all kinds were a fond staple of childhood joy. I had binders filled to the thickness of ancient manuscripts with everything from vintage Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering, and the old DBZ cards put out by Score in the early 2000s. There were even times when I'd come across more obscure cards like Sailor Moon, that Vampire CCG, which the only card I remember from it is the sawed-off shotgun card. Literally the one reason I was even able to reference it. Gargoyles from that old cartoon. And I think even Gundam had, back in the day, had a couple of sets in circulation. And they were always fun to snag and rip open just for the pure novelty of it. Trading cards back then were such an innocent pastime. They were an absolute delight to collect, trade, organize into binders. I easily had collected thousands of them as a child. As I got older though, and when I say older I mean nearing my later teenage years, my passion for card collecting pretty much died, and unfortunately so did my interest in keeping any of them at all. With my wizardly lack of foresight in how valuable many of these cards I had would become years down the line, I told myself I've outgrown them, and therefore equated that to, well, I guess I have to get rid of them now. I didn't think to just store them away as keepsakes to rediscover at an older age. I think I was 14, so this is going back a little earlier before my great coming-of-age card purge. I brought a binder with hundreds of Magic the Gathering cards to a local collectible store I frequented, and the dude flipped through probably 3 or 4 of what was probably 50 pages of cards I had, looked at me deadpan and said, "I'll give you $20 for them." I thought long and hard for a solid 4 seconds before extending my spit-smeared hand to the man and said, "Well, golly gee, hot diggity dog damn, that sounds like the bee's knees. You've got yourself a deal, mister." At the time, I had no idea what I had in terms of rarity, and yes, a lot of it was bulk. But man, that Reddit moderator prototype fucked me. But to be fair, I walked in there completely prepared to fuck myself. I just wanted them gone, and so $20 to get rid of them felt like someone doing me a favor. Nothing would appreciate and regret worse over time than the day when I brought my binder of Pokemon cards containing base set holos, fossil holos, jungle holos, gym leader holos, Team Rocket holos, Neo Genesis and Destiny holos, most notably this card, to the Salvation Army. I just handed it over across the counter to the kid working the register, probably a few years older than me, it looked like, seemingly taken aback by what I was giving up. I thought nothing of it and just figured some kid wandering in there one day with his mom or dad would happen upon them and get greater enjoyment out of them than me just keeping them as clutter in my room. It pains me to this day how poorly I calculated that decision. And the way the cashier was so aghast at the collection I was donating, I wouldn't be surprised if that binder never made it out of his hands. I did, however, place aside a small number of cards that meant more to me than all the others, those of which would start me off later on in selling cards as a small side hustle. Those childhood gems I held on to got thrown up on eBay and purchased within days. That's where my naivety surfaced, thinking, this is easy, I gotta get more. The uptick in cards going nuts got my gut hungering for some pack ripping. So I started off with a box of Disney Lorcana, specifically the Arcasia's Island set. I ended up pulling this card, the Tamatoa Happy as a Clam Enchanted, the rarest pull in the set. I wasn't sure what I was looking at because this was my first stab at Lorcana, and the card stood out so beautifully from all the others. To my surprise, upon looking it up, it was valued at the time for around $308. By the next hour, I had it up on eBay and managed to swing a $275 sale out of it within that same week. So my money was made back on the booster box along with a decent profit. So going forward, I would walk right into my biggest mistake getting into flipping cards. Gambling is not an investment. The high of a rare pull is a sneaky one. But I tell you, buying a box of cards with an expectation to turn a profit is no different than walking into a casino expecting to walk out rich. Unless God himself has maxed out your luck stat, Pokemon ain't gonna make you a Pokemillionaire. One Piece is gonna leave you with no piece. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Isn't gonna make you go, oh. Sorry, that was awful. You'll get hits here and there, but the cards whose values exceed into the hundreds of dollars are seldom come across for that very reason. I myself have enough bulk across all of the cards I've bought to build a house already paid off by my own reckless spending. It's easy to convince yourself when you stare into a booster box that you've got 24 to 30 chances to pull the grails of the set. But more often than not, those packs quickly turn into one ripped open disappointment after the next. Dopamine is a hell of an endogenous drug. What sort of salvaged the factor of it being worthwhile has been rebuilding collections of all the lesser rares I've pulled. The ones that are considered rare in the sense that there's only one per pack among the majority of commons and uncommons, and not the lottery ticket winners everyone's chasing. Right now, they're mostly not of much value, and that will likely be the case for years to come. But the only revenge I can manage against my past mistakes in card forfeiture is to hold on to what I've got now, and see if patience endured pays off. Better yet, they remain as low in value as they currently are, and get passed down to my children and not some swindling otaku. I'll touch on the ethical aspect of this whole thing, which is a disappointing reality to have to speak about concerning the current state of something like children's card collecting, but being such a rampant issue, it bears mentioning. If you ever seek to sell cards as a means of just adding a few extra dollars to your pocket, price your cards fairly, be genuine about the conditions of your items. Some people live for collecting, they really do. And it's so shameful but not surprising that it's adults who are sinking to depraved levels of deceit and greed just to make their foolish investments worth their time. We've all seen the videos of these inconsiderate lowlives time after time clearing display shelves in front of kids, not an ounce of regard for anyone else who wants to open a single booster pack for themselves. And I think it's just that many scalpers have been left to sit on all of the Pokemon product they've hoarded after the bubble burst and Pokemon cards began to take a fall. Good. Keep it warm until it hits vintage status in 20 years, and then sell it to pay off whatever new gambling debts you rack up in that time. But it's not just that. Stay wary of the sophisticated fakes being sold everywhere. I'm speaking to newer, less assertive collectors here. Inquire deeply about the cards you're looking to buy from online sellers. If you can't be given straight answers and are given a runaround instead, don't waste your time or your money. In the end, I learned that this is not something I can see myself doing as a means to benefit me financially. It was definitely a lot of fun and nostalgic, and I'm certainly not averse to picking up a couple of packs on occasion and trying my luck when feasible. I can reason a tiny gamble out of myself when I'm in the position to do so, but under the pretense that I've acknowledged it's a gamble, not an investment. You don't always have to walk away from a loss feeling terrible about it afterwards. When it comes to trading cards, you can control the costs of uncontrollable outcomes, even disappointing ones. but at least satisfied with it not having broken the bank. Thanks for listening.